Welcome to the Quantum Beings Fireside Chats. And welcome Chris, who we had a chat with last year. Um, Chris has an amazing dream, and the way the dream came about is possibly even more amazing than the dream itself. Now, whilst we've been through this in a previous call, I'd love for you to not update us, just give us a brief overview of what your dream was, what happened, how it happened, um, and yeah, what you're working on.
Thank you, Mona. Thank you again for having me back on your show here. Super exciting. We were remembering last year, and she invited me to be on a fireside chat. I'd never done anything like this. I'd never, gone on and done a webinar or anything. And I was like, oh no, I don't know if I can do that. And she made it so easy. She asked me the questions, and it was actually, we had a great time. It was a great time. I ended up, hey, I kind of like this. This is fun. I get to talk about what I love, what I'm passionate about, and actually made several team members out of that meeting in my project. So, anyways, thank you all for being here. I'm again super excited to share what it is that we're creating, that we're manifesting here in Panama. To really to explain it, I need to tell a little bit about my story, because to give it context, and my journey, which started when I was in high school. When I was in 11th grade, I had a teacher, my psychology teacher, and I really liked him. He's a great guy. Anyways, one Monday morning when we all came back to school, there was this terrible news that one of the girls, that she was very well liked, very sweet, very nice, she had been in a car accident, and they didn't know if she was going to live or die. She was in that, life or death situation. And when I came into my psychology class with him, he said, hey, everybody, we know the bad news. Listen, today's class is that we're all going to just sit in our chairs, we're going to close our eyes, and we're going to visualize her being happy, healthy, and back in school with us. And we did it. We did it. Something like 30 kids or so per class, and so somewhere around 200 kids, let's say, that day. That's all they did while they're in his class, was to visualize her being healthy and back in school. The next day we come into school, and the new news is she's made this miraculous recovery. Not only she's not going to die, like it's not life or death, she's going to be coming back to school in the next day or two. And I just knew that it was us. It was what we did, as kids. And that changed me. That changed the way I saw the world in some ways, you could say. And fast forward about till I was 20. When I was 20 years old, I was training with a group of alpiners, climbers, to climb Mount Denali, which is this giant mountain in Alaska.
Sorry, Chris, your table's wobbling a bit, so you might need to just
I'm sorry.
Not lean it. Yeah.
I'm not at home. I'm in Panama City in a hotel here, and so I'm not in my normal place. But so anyways, we trained for like over a year to climb this mountain. Flew to Alaska, flew in onto the glacier in this little ski plane, got off and trekked that mountain for like 2 weeks. We battled that mountain we got close to the top. We actually ended up getting there to the summit the next couple days after what I'm going to tell you now. But I was at a place where I was completely exhausted after this time. Like battling fear. There had been multiple casualties, deaths, on the mountain while we're there. So I was, battling fear, pushing my body way past what I believed it was capable of, that oxygen deprived, you name it. And I went and I sat down. We'd just gone through this one patch that we were traversing this very dangerous ridge, and we got past it, And I went over and I sat down for a moment, and I looked over, like down these valleys and everything. It was a beautiful view. Anyways, it was just like my body, my head opened up and my body just received like this light beam. That's what it felt like, a light beam. It came from, I don't know where, but up there through my body into the mountain. And as I was sitting there and feeling, it was an incredible feeling. It was just like pure energy. But I was thinking, wow, somebody could ask me any question right now and I would have the answer to it. Like there's no barrier right now between me and all information that exists. And, it's like, I don't know how else more to explain it than that. Anyways, that passed. We ended up summiting the mountain. We came down, went back. I was living in Southern California. I was working for this very competitive commercial real estate company. And honestly, I got back. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. I couldn't operate that way anymore. And I went. I went and I went to my manager and said, "Hey, listen, I'm so sorry, but I have to quit." He's like, "Well, what are you talking about? We put all this time and money in you, and and trained you, blah, blah, you're gonna be like this and that, this great stuff." What I can't do it. I can't do it. I left the company. Started doing other things. That's more to talk about there, but that's no time. Fast forward again, 2003. A movie comes out called "What the Bleep Do We Know?" And I go, I go see it. I go to the movie theater, sit down, the movie comes on, and it's like, oh my God. I mean, it's like I could see I don't know if who of you have seen it, if anybody hasn't, watch it. But I was like, I get it. I'm watching the movie, like, I get it. I understand it. It's like I connected to that, what they're talking about, this quantum field thing of all potential, all potential, all energy, all information. It's like there was a moment where I was actually fully connected to that. So it's like I know what you're saying is not only know it's true, it's like I've experienced it myself. And then in the same time period, like The Secret had come out, and I thought, wow, the world's going to change. It's like the word's out, things are going to start changing now. Anyways, they didn't really. And as much as I loved What the Bleep Do We Know? I mean, I saw that movie probably 50 times. I dragged everybody I knew to go and watch it with me. Most people thought it was stupid or this or that, but anybody I could get to take, to watch it, I would take him there. But the thing is, there was no, it was like it was informational. And to me, it was like, super informational because of my experience. But it was like kind of like, now what? Now what do I do with it? And I thought, more stuff was going to come out and this, that, but it just really didn't. And I loved many of the different personalities in the movie. But I especially liked Dr. Joe. He was the one that I connected to the most. I really loved him in the movie. And so, anyways, I'm going to fast forward again. 7 years ago, so I sell my business, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do now with my life. Now I sold my business. What's next? Yeah, how to reinvent myself. What am I going to do? So I started going to Tony Robbins events, and I loved it. I loved the events. I went to all of them multiple times. And at the last event, for you who've been to his events, like he goes through and he gives you like information, good information, time tested stuff, and then in blocks, and then he has you get up and you dance and he gets your energy going, and it's and one of those times when we were dancing and everything, and I turned to the guy next to me, I go, isn't Tony amazing? And he was an optometrist, Dr. Green, and he turns to me and he says, "Yeah, Tony's awesome, but Joe Dispenza's events are even better." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Joe Dispenza does events?" I mean, I knew exactly who he was because do you know how many times,
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God, I was so excited. So I got home, I back to Panama because I was living in Panama at that time. I hadn't like kind of skipped that part. I'd moved down to Panama. And I was actually, I owned a piece of land on the end of this beautiful peninsula on one of the islands in the Caribbean here in Panama. And my idea was I was going to build it. That was my next thing. That was my reinventing myself. I was going to build like a boutique overwater villa resort. And I'd gone through the, like I said, Tony's events. Anyways, I get back to Panama and boom, the pandemic hits. And Panama got totally shut down. You know, we got hit pretty hard with COVID. And so it got shut down. There was really nothing to do. Like 6 months went by and there was more than that. It was like more than that. I think it was like November because it started anyways, in like November.
February, yeah.
Yeah, and like started like February, then in November, I'd been looking at Dr. Joe's site, you know, this and that. Anyways, I went onto a site for I don't remember why, but kind of popped up, hey, Cancun event in February opened for registration. I'm like, no way. So put in my details, you know, this and that, credit card, get in, you know. I found out later that that event, like all of his events in Cancun, sold out in 5 minutes. But nowadays, you know, I'm ready. I'm at the computer ready to go. But it was just a great thing. I was just lucky that I had at that very moment had logged into his website when it came available. Went to February comes up, go to the event, and everything changed. Like, I mean, everything. The event was incredible. I mean, his events are incredible. The event was amazing. I made this really great group of friends. Of some of them are business partners of mine now in what we're doing. And they when at the event, and I started, you know, because everybody, hey, what do you do? This and that. I was telling them what I was doing. I showed them all the pictures of this, you know, beautiful location. They're like, oh my God, Chris, you should make that like a place for us, you know, for people who practice Dr. Joe's work. And I'm thinking, well, that's a dream. That would be wonderful, but that's not feasible, you know. You know, that really wouldn't. I couldn't just limit it to that, you know. So, but anyways, made this great group of friends. The event ends, come back here to Panama. My neighbors start offering me their properties for sale. It's like on both sides, behind me, one's behind them. I'm like, wow, this is weird. And this is really weird. So I actually went and I put them under contract, I think 3 or 4 properties. I can't remember that. I went back to another Joe event and I went back to another Joe and I decided, by the way, I've been to 15 since.
Wow.
Yeah, or 14 since, 15 total. And I went there, I said, you know what? You know, Joe, you know, he talks about in the events about, you know, bringing your future towards you, bringing it to, you know, your future reality, bringing it. And I was like, this is really weird. So I decided to go to the event and, you know what, I'm going to go there and act as if I'm going to be as if I'm going to create a community for people who practice this work. And I'm going to see if it takes. I mean, see if, you know, I'm just going to see what happens. And so I started talking about it that way. By the end of the event, people were looking for me. They were tracking me down. You know, they were talking to each other, and I left that event and I knew, okay, this is where we're going. This will work. This will not only work. There's so many people would love to be able to be together practicing this work. So, anyways, Mona, do you mind? Could you give me sharing privileges? Because
of course.
I'd like to share with everybody, and show them. You know, I have some images, kind of a little presentation, and we could it visually help people really see what it is that we're doing as well.
You should be able to share now.
Okay, let's see if. Let me get to the beginning. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So this is actually my house that I originally had this piece of property right here on the end of this peninsula. When I got back, my neighbors on both sides offered me their properties for sale. And then ultimately we acquired 20 different adjacent properties, which was in itself kind of a miracle if you think
Unheard
about
of. Yeah.
it. It
So
was
what does the name mean?
so Nuare, the
Okay.
concept Nuare actually means beautiful life in the language of the indigenous tribe that lives on the island, my neighbors.
Right.
We have this beautiful tribe, yeah, it's a beautiful village of tribal members that live there, and yeah, beautiful life. This is the you can see, this is a aerial view, the Conscious Island community site. I'm just going to kind of take you through a few pictures here, kind of tell you a little bit. What is
Sure.
it? It's amazing, it's really I want to say it's amazing, one of a kind Caribbean island location. It's 405 acres is what we ended up all together with the 20 different parcels putting together, surrounded by beautiful, beautiful Caribbean waters, just really magnificent reef systems. We have a first growth rainforest full of exotic animals, sloths and monkeys and parrots and toucans and you name it. We have 2 freshwater lakes on the peninsula, ocean cliffs, rainforest beaches, our sister community, as I said, an indigenous tribe, and a naturally fully protected marina site. That's my house. That's where I live. And now what we are doing with the vision is we're creating conscious community for people to come together to practice a holistic spiritual type of a lifestyle, and a place that is like, by being a part of it, by being there, by being around the people that are there, and the structure of it supports highly elevated vibrational states and heart-centered way of living. How we're going to do that is, do the daily group meditations, the walking meditations in person, and remote coherence healings, eating organically eating organic, locally grown foods, doing content discussions, being surrounded by like-minded friends, friends that we're deeply connected to, doing fun, healthy activities, all these things support, long-term wiring of the brain. We're going to have a wellness village, which will consist of a wellness center. Wellness center is going to basically have 3 pillars. One is, the stuff we love, the spas and, spas like massage and, those things that we,
Yeah.
that are fun to have.
Downtime. Yeah. TLC time. Yeah.
ELC time, exactly. But also the energetic healings,
Yeah.
modalities, because many people in the community, in the Joe's community, that are practitioners that are highly skilled in energetic healing, on those different modalities. And then also the third pillar is the high tech, the new stuff that's coming out, like the AEE systems, and even things like cryotherapy or stem cell, different things that, that really promote, a super high, really a heightened way of living, anyways, a healthy way of
Yeah.
living.
Yeah.
We'll have a yoga shala. We have a shaman hut, which is we have the shaman of the indigenous tribe that lives on an island. Sabed is his name. He's a beautiful soul. He has his own pharmacy, you could say, or we have, and when I say his own pharmacy, the pharmacy is the forest, and he's skilled in over 50 medicinal plants
Wow.
that he uses for you name it, high blood pressure, for diabetes, for, if you need to, if you're a woman, you can't get pregnant. Even he has a COVID remedy, really amazing. I'll talk a little more about that in a bit. And then a cliff top saltwater pool, there'll be an event pavilion for doing, events. We're hoping to. I met with the CEO of Gaia, the Gaia channel, last December, James, and we're looking at ways that we could collaborate with them potentially as well. He has many different amazing presenters that he works with. Having a whole food store, a whole food restaurant, water sports center, co-working areas, so people can work together when they're there, because a lot of the residents will be working remotely, if they're living there full or part-time. A conscious school. Our idea is to have a very well-rounded community, which includes families with children, and we'd like to have a school. So we have planned a school that's that will teach in a different way, in different ways. And we have a beautiful lady who's working on the design of that. And we see this as a way, like, where we could be giving scholarships to some of the indigenous children, as well as there'll be a hospitality aspect to the community, so people can put their homes in a rental pool that will be run by the hotel. And so families that are coming, even for a week or two with children, they can go and they can spend time in the conscious school with the kids. So they can be creating relationships with them, and and trading information. So just part of what we want to do is be an inspiration be an inspiration that can spread to other communities, of what we're doing. Marina Village as well. And back to the marina, it's like in the islands. So we have Bocas del Toro, the island chain that we're in, and they're here in the Panama Caribbean. There's 11 main islands. Well, each island has its own community. The islands are pretty close, so you can go back and forth between them in small boats. And they have different communities, so it's really neat. You don't have a car. Like, if you live in islands, your car is a boat, and so the marina will be a place where everybody keeps their boat. Okay. Anyways, back to the structure of the community. So I know a lot of you have heard about the blue zones. There's a really cool guy, Dan Buettner, who actually went into these different blue zones. There's 6 of them around the world to study them, see why is it that these particular communities, they have such a long life expectancy compared to other communities that may even be very close nearby. And he wanted to find out what is it. And so he went to each community. He spent time there, interacted with the people, watched how they lived, documented it. And then after he did that in each community, he came up with, well, what are the similarities? What are the common denominalities, or I'm not sure if I said that right, but what's the common factors that he could identify? And so in doing that, he decided, he realized we can actually create blue zone communities by design. And so that's our intention, is to be a next blue zone community. And when I talk about these things, like, along with many other things, like when we make decisions, we make them from a multidimensional perspective. Like, we look at many different factors before we decide, how it's going to affect this, how it's going to affect that, and there was one decision that I was really struggling with. And the decision was, should we have motorized vehicles in the community, or should it a community where we walk? It's walking trails. Walking trails, because it's such a beautiful, natural place. Walking trails would be much better, than having roads, from an ecological standpoint, and just from a beauty, as well. Well, when I was watching the series that Dan Buettner did, it actually was on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, if you want to live to be 100, I highly recommend it. It's wonderful. at the end, when he was going through, he was showing the commonalities. There was multiple things. One, by the way, was the community aspect, being deeply connected to other community members, which is obviously going to be a big part of what we're doing. But another thing that he said, that he realized, is that in all of the communities, people walked.
Mm.
They walked. That was a big part of their daily life, was walking. And that's all I needed to hear. And the decision was made. The decision had been on my mind for actually quite a while.
Mm.
So anyways, I wanted to share that with you. So why are we created? So, you know, for those of you who've been to like one of Joe's events, they're absolutely amazing. So what happened?
You might need to just make it a bit smaller. You can't see all of the text, or at least I can't. I don't know.
Oh, I'm not sure how to do that. I can, but
Okay.
I can explain. So at an event, what happens? We get to the event. First of all, he's got a staff that's these are high vibrating people, heart-centered people that are there supporting the event. Many of the people in the event, usually around 40%, are repeaters. So they've been there. They've been to those high states. They know how to get there. So you're supported by this community. Then he feeds us information. He starts to get us to think and to start to become more self-aware. And like, for one way he does that, for example, he makes some of the jokes he makes, if you pay attention to them, they're very targeted. They're not just really about being funny. He's prompting us. One of he likes to say, he says, oh yeah, you're out at lunch after, during the event, and you're at the table with your new friends, and then you realize you're the only one who's complaining. And and then everybody laughs, right? Because what he's doing is he's prompting us to become more self-aware of our behavior, our patterns, So that, and then he has us going through processes, the meditation processes, the kaleidoscope processes. He's going through, now he's exercising our brain, our hearts, And anyways, as the week goes on, we get to these places of super high vibrational states. Our heart starts to blow wide open. We start to feel super connected to the people the other people in the events, Then what happens? We start to change. We start to rewire. We start to heal. And it's incredible. Like, we all know that, who've been to the events. Miracles happen. I mean, it's actually science, but it's miraculous. The science creates miraculous results.
Yeah.
And then, so we go through these processes. We have this incredible time. We get in the taxi. We go to the airport. We fly home, back to the old relationships, the old situations, the old patterns. And they start to pull on us. And they start to pull us back. And that's really a big challenge. It's a big challenge. Obviously, the more dedicated we stay to the meditations, the more we associate and just form those relationships with other people in the work. The more we listen to the information, videos, whatever, to keep that. All of those things, of course, help us, but still, it's pulling us back, and it's a challenge. So that's why we're creating this. We're creating this, place, and who's it for? It's for people who are living in or striving for those elevated states of consciousness. People who are heart-centered souls, people who want to live from their heart, from that place, be driven by their heart. People are committed to spiritual evolution and growth. Those are the people that the Conscious Island community is for. Those are the people that we're creating it for.
Wow.
This is it's a satellite image with a rendering overlay. to show the different phases. We have this separated out because it's a large, project, 160 hectares. You guys in the UK use on the metric system, right? So 160 hectares, a little over actually, but 160 hectares divided into 4 phases with 15 different sections. Each phase has different sections. And so this just kind of gives you kind of a a conceptual overlook of the whole of the entire thing. We're working on 3 different plans right now. We're going to be doing overwater villas like my home. We're going to be doing treetop or canopy villas up in the elevated up there by the monkeys and the sloths and the ferrets and all those guys. And we're also going to be doing land homes for the land lovers who like that solid.
Gorgeous, yeah.
So
can I have one of each, please, Chris?
Which one do you want first?
One of each.
So, I mentioned a little bit earlier, about the event pavilion. This is going to be a very important, like kind of a community center. This is where we'll be doing transformational events. The idea is to, every week, have a different transformational events, and doing yoga curriculums, group meditations, healing circles, coherent healings, content groups, discussions, and, much more. I talked a little bit also about our school. This is just kind of, the slide kind of dedicates a little more to it, but just, kind of the mission, the vision, what we want to create, the conscious awareness, social emotional development, just, something that the kind of school I sure wish I could have gone to.
Yeah.
It'll be amazing. An energy healing group. We're actually creating a page for this. There's a lot of them that are, we'll register with Dr. Joe once it's ready. Anybody who'd like to be a healer, the community is really in need of healers. Now people, when they need healing, they have to wait for months sometimes now to get because it's become so popular. So we're going to be opening up the group for healers to come in soon. Okay, these are my beautiful neighbors. They are the Nobi indigenous tribe. They live on the island. They live very, very connected to the earth, to the ocean. They don't live a lot different than they did 500 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, they're really beautiful. And the shaman, like I said, is well, I talked a little bit about him. His, his amazing knowledge of the plants. How to work with the plants as medicine. They love what we're doing. They support it. Their community. The population has surpassed about 1,500 on the island, and it's surpassed as well. I mean, it's surpassed really what the land and the sea can provide for them.
Okay.
And if anybody knows about history and islands that get overpopulated, it's not good for the people on the island. So they're 50 years ago, it was a utopia for them. It was a beautiful place, plenty of food. It was easy. Now it's a struggle. They've gotten to that point. Some of the young members, they're having to send to the city to work, and that's like a jail sentence. It's just not what it's not fit them. And so we're being very inclusive with them in everything we do. Much of the theming around what we do, but also the opportunity, creating the opportunity for them. And I'm gonna give you an example. So the fishermen, they go out in their canoes, they canoe out and they catch lobsters and fish and crabs, and they bring them back. We more lobster and crab than fish, you can imagine. But they catch these fish that are like this big. We don't I don't buy those from the little fish. And I used to get on their case. I'm like, hey, you guys, you can't catch the fish that size. It's before they even reproduce. It's depleting the fish population. And
Mm.
they're like, we know, Chris, we got it, but my kids are hungry, you
Mm.
know? And it's like, you can't tell a parent to not, do whatever they can to bring food back to their their kids that
Their
are
children,
hungry.
yeah, sure.
So, it's just kind of getting to that point. It's just kind of past, they're in that place. So it's really, we're good timing. We can provide for them, opportunity, employment opportunity, cultural exchange. They could be tours for the people that come and visit. Providing, doing farming to provide food, natural, local, organic food for the people who live in the community. So, this the synergistic way of living with them, and something I'm
Mm.
super proud and I love. And so, anyways, I just wanted to talk about that for a moment. Um, One of my fishing buddy, well, he's actually not my fishing buddy. Sorry, he's the he grows and forages, actually grows and forages fruits, vegetables, and that's my front of my house, and that's how I buy most of my food
Mm.
is right there in
Wow.
my front dock. And so, and it's obvious it's all completely organic,
Mm.
and it's just fun. When they come, I know all of them. We're buddies, and and anyways, it's really cool, a fun situation. So this is my house. I call it the living house, and the reason I call it that is most of the time when mankind interacts with the environment, it's usually not in the best interest of the environment.
Mm.
And by looking at things differently, by by being, well, first of all, caring about it, but becoming conscious and looking at things from a multi-dimensional perspective, it's actually, there's ways that we can interact with the environment that's not only just like compensatory, which is kind of the eco way of thinking nowadays. Oh, we're going to go and we're going to develop, we're going to damage this and this, but we're going to plant a bunch of trees to make up for it. There's even a better way to do it, and 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 there's ways that well, let me just tell you, like when we built the house, we purposely created structure and an environment or habitat for the fish, for the marine life. And so my house is not my house. It's a house of thousands of living organisms, marine life. And the pictures you see to the right, those are the posts and different things that we have underneath the house that have created habitat. And there's hundreds of times more fish around and underneath my house than there is if you go 100 feet in either direction of it. And that was by purpose. My indigenous friends, they all respect my house. I have buoys around the area. You can't see them in the image there, but because they're outside of it. But they respect my little area there as a reserve, which allows for the fish to grow bigger and reproduce, and actually are supplementing the fish supply in the area. And so this is a case where human interaction into the environment has created a super positive effect to the environment, as opposed to the typical one that historically, which is the not good one. So everything we do, we think about it from multiple perspectives. How is it going to affect the reef system? How's it going to affect the animals? How's it going to affect the rainforest? How's it going to affect the indigenous? How's it going to affect the visitors when they come to stay there? And by being willing to look at those things, and from a certain point of view, it's surprisingly, it's pretty easy to come up with solutions that can be beneficial all around and synergistic. I'm going to give one more example of that. So they also hunt. They hunt animals on the island, and they were over hunting. And we are actually, you know what? Oh, I actually have a slide in it. So, so I have a friend, and Dorothy's her name. She owns the animal rescue up in Boquete, which is a place in the mountains on the mainland nearby. And so she brings in, injured animals that need to be rehabilitated. She rehabilitates them, and before she would release them back into the wild. But the risk was always they were weak, or they weren't quite. Anyways, they're at risk. So now she's releasing her rehabilitated animals back onto our peninsula, and which is so fitting, because if you think about it, so these are animals that were injured, but then they were healed by humans, and they're going to be around humans, conscious humans. And so I hope we have time. How are we on time, Mona?
Yeah. Well, you can go as long as you want. It's 8:45, so.
Because this is a story. I love the story. So there in Africa, there was this tribe of monkeys. I don't remember what kind of monkeys they were. They were kind of those funny looking ones. But anyways, the way that's there was these researchers that had been for a long time, for years, were using this tribe of monkeys as they were like they're on site, and they were studying them, and it was a very kind of a violent tribe, and they had these alpha males who were just horrible to the beta males, to the females, and to the young, to the the babies, or the kids, the young monkeys. It was and it was their culture. It was the way that it worked. Well, there was a village of people that lived nearby, and they would throw their food out, and then the monkeys would come, but it would be the alpha monkeys were always the ones who would get to go on and eat the good food from that was being thrown out from the people.
Yeah.
Well, one time, for some reason, I don't remember why in the story, it was quite a few years ago, I saw this documentary, so interesting. But anyways, so the food was poisoned for some reason. So the food that got thrown out there, guess who ate it?
The monkeys.
The alpha, the really mean alpha males who were horrible to everybody else in the culture, ate the poison food and died. So that this tribe ended up with no alpha males. So, and everything changed in the tribe. All of a sudden, it started being like they were nice to each other, And then if one of the beta males decided he was going to start to get a little alpha, they would gang up on him, put him in his place, and it's like, no, we do not want to go back to that. And that event actually changed the society of that monkey tribe. And so we envision creating this incredible place where we have people, heart-centered people, coming to spend time in this place with these animals who've been rehabilitated, and then also will and their fondness of people will rub off, hopefully, to the other animals or their friends or whatever they're. And but this place of healing will be for humans and animals, and we're interacting to come together. We're going to create. We're going to build walkways elevated up into the canopy walks. So people walk in, be able to see the animals, interact with them, and And anyways, we envision something that's going to be really amazing, really special by doing that. And thanks to my beautiful friend Dorothy and her daughter, actually, we're working with. This is Saavedra. He's the shaman of the indigenous tribe. He's a beautiful man. He is an absolutely wonderful human being, and he is he's skilled in many of the different plants there, as I mentioned before. He'll be part of the wellness village, his shaman hut. We're creating a foundation. Okay. It's also a web page. It's almost finished. And there are, you know, the indigenous, I mean, they live the way they live. They like living the way they live. They just, they don't want to be hungry. They don't want to struggle. But you know, we would like to help them out, like get them a reliable sewer system and, you know, some other things. And so we're gonna create this foundation, which will do humanitarian works for the indigenous tribe, you know, different projects to, you know, benefit the rainforest animals, the reef systems, et cetera. And then we'll give people the opportunity that they'll be able to donate, you know. And I'm gonna give like one simple example. So on the island, we have the village, which is close to the where we're at, to our location, where they're, you know, where they live. But there's also families, indigenous families scattered around the island who have children. Well, there's not enough gasoline to get all of the kids that are outside of the towns, the village, to school every day. So they have to trade off. They can only go every other day. So we want to do things like give people opportunity. Hey, you can donate so much every month to make sure they have enough gasoline to get all the kids to school. You know, also, you know, they don't have power, they don't have electricity. So, you know, give people that opportunity. They can donate one solar panel, a battery, you know, some lights, a few lights, and we give light to a family. They can give light to one of the indigenous families, you know, and hopefully get to meet them as well, and, you know, have a, you know, really cool thing. So things like that. There's many, but those are a couple of them that, as examples. So, you know, protecting, preserving, you know, the environment. That's a huge pillar of what we're doing. You know, along with, you know, the conscious part. Well, that is conscious, but you know, along with the community aspects and those things. And so, just a really fundamental part of everything we do. It's considered in every decision that's made. The land is so beautiful and natural, and like in its, you know, in its natural state, where when we design, we're going to design, you know, in a way that enhances the natural beauty, not replace it. You're not going and cut a bunch of trees down and build big concrete structures. No, that's not what we're going to build. You know, beautiful different structures, you know, that fit and that look amazing. You know, kind of Tulum, you know, Bali, you know, kind of really interesting architecture that fits in this kind of atmosphere. So, anyways,
wow,
that's it. Nuare, an island, a dream, and a new reality. So, that's basically what it is. Any questions? I will. Should I answer questions, or should I tell everybody first how they could get involved if they'd like to?
Yeah, tell them how they can get involved, and then we can go to questions.
Okay, good, perfect. Okay, so there's several ways that you're welcome to be involved. One is to be a partner in the project. We're opening up another round of investment. So coming in as a project investor in the project is one way to become involved. There's going to be multiple different, many actually different businesses within the project, like for example, the event center, the wellness center, the restaurant, the marina, the hotel operations, you know, the aquatics sports center, you know, and many more. Each one of those, we're going to be partnering with people who have expertise, knowledge, and capital to work with on those businesses. So if you're interested in one of those businesses as well, that would be another way to become involved. A team, we're looking for team members to work with us. We have an equity exchange program. So, you know, people say, hey, do you want any volunteers? Actually, we're not looking for volunteers. We're looking for people who would like to come in, contribute their expertise, their knowledge, their time, and they will receive shares in our equity exchange program for what they do. And so they'll actually be gaining an interest in the project as they're contributing to it. And then I'll being an affiliate promoter as well. is an option. So those are the ways to become involved.
That's beautiful. Can we stop sharing and see if the people got questions?
Yes, I
Yeah.
can do that.
Oh, what's happened? Ah, there we are. So I'll start off with one person who is not here, but she has asked, "Oh, will you be doing things like ayahuasca and probably the sort of plant medicines?"
Yes,
Yeah.
we do. But yes, we plan on having a plant medicine temple in the wellness village, and I am what do you call it? I don't know if the word is in ayahuasca or what, but
Ayahuasca.
well,
Yeah.
I'm talking about myself in ayahuasca. If you're somebody who
Okay,
is,
you've all right, okay.
yeah,
Could you give the name again?
ayahuasca.
No, I think for the location, can you type it into the chat box? I think it's Nuare. Have I spelled that right? Maybe not. Nope, it's auto-corrected to Tui, which is a travel agent in the UK. Can you put the name of the
Oh, Thai Nuare. Sorry, I just
yeah,
was able to pull up the. Okay, yeah, it's Thai Nuare, which means beautiful life in the Nobi
language?
indigenous language.
Does anybody have any questions? Please feel free to unmute yourselves, share your share your video, and please do feel free to ask Chris any questions, anything you're interested in. I'd like to ask a couple of questions with your history. A couple of times you've mentioned that you just gave up your job. Did you have something else to go into, or did you just jump fearlessly into whatever that next version was for you? And I think these were before you actually went to a Dr. Joe event. So this is sort of speaking to your spirituality beforehand.
So it's that's a it's it. I sold my business, 7 years ago, and I really wasn't sure what I was going to do,
Mm, mm,
and like I mentioned earlier, I'd started going to Tony's events, and then I was able to go to Joe's events. What that did was it kind of brought, like, I wanted to create something beautiful. I love to create. I had a ranch that I created in Utah, and it was beautiful. It had running streams and waterfalls, ponds, and it was really something magnificent. But I created, I'd made it, and I loved to share it with people. I used to have parties that would start from Friday and go to Monday morning.
Oh, wow.
And 50 people come over, sometimes 100,
Mm,
and I love to share it. I would see people having so much fun there and
mm,
admiring how beautiful it was and loving it, and I loved that. I loved
mm,
that. And so, but there was I guess you could say there was a spiritual side of that, but
mm,
not a consciously spiritual side to it, in a way, if you
mm,
could say that. So, like, in going to Joe's event, I I was able to merge,
mm,
what I'm passionate about, which is creating something beautiful that the people will love to go there and be happy being there, and and make it part of my spiritual journey
mm.
along with others,
Beautiful. Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your
Yes,
question.
it does. Thank you. Um, so we have a question. What is the time scale for this?
So there's many different benchmarks in that time scale. So
Mm,
we see it as like a 10-year build out in the whole thing. We're hoping to have people living there by the end of next year. That's our goal right now.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so quick because technically you only really went to Dr. Joe's thing after COVID, and COVID's not long finished, right?
Yeah.
So 2 years, within 2 years, this is 3 years by the time you have your first people there. It's amazing.
Part of it'll, yeah, part of it'll has to do with the government. We had
Mm,
a we had we just had a change in the government here. We have a new one that came in. We're happy with the so far with the situation. However, we were in the middle of our planning our master plan process with one of the government organizations. When the new administration came in, they changed the rules. So we're,
oh, okay.
we haven't got that sorted out yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be fine, and one way or another. It's just we don't. I'm not sure how long that'll delay us.
Okay. Tell me what the difference is between the Chris that went to event number 1 and the Chris that has been to event number 14. How, what is that Chris compared to this Chris?
Wow. I don't know. I mean, it was always me. It's still, now it's one that life is much more interesting than it was 3 years ago. You know, life is, I don't like, you know, you go to Joe's events, you do ayahuasca, you do those, it's kind of like your world kind of opens up. And
Yeah.
what we kind of saw before, things were like this and this. It's like, no, there's just so much more going on
Mm,
out there. And so it's the same me, but it's the same me that sees a lot more than I used to.
wow. That's beautiful. Are you going to the 10-day? You must be going to Can. Yeah.
I I love the Cancun events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gorgeous. Does anybody else have any more questions? Yeah.
Just one question. When you went for the last presentation, you say like you were doing like 3 meditation per day. Do you still doing 3 meditation per day? And do you think this make a change for you or not really?
I'm not doing a day anymore. I'm down to one, and I don't know if I'm going to go back to doing more or not. Yeah, I really, it was very valuable for me to do those three. It was for about 2.5 years or 2 years probably that I did straight 4 a.m. it was 4 a.m. every morning for 2 years. And then I moved it to 5 a.m. for about 6 months. And now I'm when it doesn't have to be 5 a.m. I haven't been so I liked, I don't know, there's really two sides of that, and I haven't decided where I stand on that, to be honest with you.
Mm.
And I don't know if I really answered your question or not, but yeah.
I always talk about it's not what you do in the meditation, it's what are you doing the 23 hours a day you're not meditating? How are you maintaining your vibration and your frequency? So I feel like you're saying that you don't need 3 hours a day or 3 meditations a day because you're topping up.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if I went back and started doing three again, if it wouldn't be helpful. And I may.
Mm.
I may, I guess, there's a I don't know if the word is testing process. I'm kind of, trying. It's been about 3 months now that I got off of my, that long routine that I'd been on.
Mm. Okay. Have you got a website people can get details from, or
It's almost,
okay.
it's almost,
When you finish it, let me know. I'll obviously share it with the group people are asking.
I will let you know.
Are there any more questions from anyone? Because this was really, really lovely to see, Chris. I know I've seen some of the images and I saw your villa from the past fireside chat we had, but actually seeing everything now, it feels very Avatar-like to me in the concept, something very, very new, and yet something that needs to sort like you're the I don't know what they're called in project management, like the first starter. You know, you're the one who's setting the trend for this type of lifestyle and these type of places, and merging nature and organic food and healing and love and light with what we're living with, and understanding that we don't need all the electronic kit and cars and stuff. So my question to you, if nobody else has any questions, I'll have a last question. If you had a question for mankind, given where we are, given how consciousness seems to be exploding in so many directions, not just with Dr. Joe's work, just everywhere people are popping and doing their things. If you had a message for mankind, what would it be?
God, just open your heart. That's a,
So,
yeah, that would be my message. I see a mess. There's a question that says, is it possible to go there after the Cancun event in December? It would be. I'll be going from Cancun to the United States, and I'll be there for Christmas with family, and then back in January. Before in November, we do have people that will be coming in November, so that would be a. And then also in any of the different ways that I'd mentioned, that anybody would be interested in becoming involved in what we're doing, if you type it into the chat, I will, we'll follow up. We'll give you some more information later, whether it's being a potential investor, or if you'd like to know more about that, or being involved in one of the businesses that we have available, being a promoter or team member. Anybody.
Great. If yeah, or get in touch with me, or just put it in yeah, get in touch with me and I can pass it on. Okay, Kath. I phoned a Kath, so I don't know what your name is. But if you just get in touch with me, I'll pass on your details. Christine's interested as well. Okay. Chris, thank you so much for calling in from Panama. That was a really lovely presentation, and the images are just to die for. I can't wait to see those buildings up and visit myself.
I can't wait to have you here, Mona.
Oh, it would be lovely.
I can't
Thank you
wait to
so
give you
much. Oh, yes. Thank you so much. Thank
you
you.
for having me back.
Oh, you're
Thank
more
you
than welcome.
for listening. Sorry if I talked too much, but it was great having you all here. And anybody who would like to be involved, please, reach out. Don't be shy. Let us know. And our arms are wide open for working with people. So
thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.